Sup, man? Welcome to the Redneck's Guide to Hercules. Now, Hercules is a warrior who's got some serious stuff going for him. He has possibly the best displacement in the game, amazing peels, a long stun, and amazing healing abilities. This guy can take whatever you dish at him and just keep on trucking. That's what I'm talking about, my main man Hercules. Now, his damage is very good, but only in bursts. Unlike Tyr, we're not going to build auto attacks for Hercules. We're going to focus entirely on his abilities and try and get that burst damage up to a respectable level while keeping him as tanky as possible. All right, let's take a look at his lore. All right, so Hercules, he was a bastard son of Jupiter, not Zeus. If you're thinking of Zeus, that's Hercules, which is Greek. Hercules is the Roman version. So here's the thing, though. Like most bastard children, the wife of Jupiter, who's Juno, wasn't super happy about this fact, you know what I'm saying, man? So what she did is she struck Hercules mad and caused him to kill his own children. Damn, son! Hell hath no fury, am I right? So here's the thing, man. This would break most people, right? But not my main man, Hercules. Hercules takes it, and he realizes what he's done so awful. He goes out and he redeems himself. He goes and completes 12 tasks, 12 impossible tasks to prove his redemption and his godliness. And that is what I am talking about. See, he's a demigod. He's not actually a god because he had a mortal mother, but he don't matter, man. This dude's so tough, he can go with the big boys. He can roll with the big guns. Even though he's just a demigod, he can take on gods of any shape and size, and that's what we're talking about with this guy. He can get into the thick things, he can do massive displacement, and he can accomplish the impossible. Let's take a look at his abilities. All right, so let's take a look at his passive. Strength from pain. What Strength from Pain does is, as you take damage, you're gonna get more physical power. Up to 31 at level 1, and then up to 50 at level 20. So it's not like a huge power increase, but it is significant, and we're going to keep that in mind. Now, let's take a look at Driving Strike as the first ability. So, Driving Strike is a dash. What it's going to do is going to dash you forward. It's going to push anyone you hit along with you. Now, this, however, is a little bit different than Tyr. You might say, well, Tyr has the same thing. He just pushes you, man. Other people have, pushing knockbacks. Not like Hercules, they don't. Look at that right there. It has a stun on it. When you hit them, it stuns them. What that means is that if a god is using them, would normally be immune to knockbacks, like during Anubis' stank breath, or Kabrakin's, ground pound, or Thor's spinny move. They're normally immune to knockbacks during that. But since this stuns, it will stun them out of it and then knock them back. So you can use Driving Strike to get people out of channeled abilities, which they would normally be immune to knockback from. So keep that in mind. Driving Strike is excellent denial. You can almost use it as a silence. All right, now let's take a look at his number 2. His number 2 is Earthbreaker. Now here's the deal. Earthbreaker is going to knock them up and fling them towards you, but only if they're at the very end of the line. It's going to throw a little line in front of you. At the very end of that line, there's a small hitbox, and if they're in that hitbox, it will knock them towards you. Now, what this means is it takes a good deal of practice to nail this ability down. This ability takes a lot of time and a lot of training to really nail down and really get good with, to really master. So you're going to need to spend some time with Earthbreaker in order to master it. Now, if you use instant casting, I highly suggest you switch to normal casting or quick casting for this ability, at least until you get used to where that hitbox is. It takes a lot of training and a lot of experience to learn where that hitbox is going to lie. So practice with Earthbreaker to know where that hitbox is. When you knock them up, it's going to knock them towards you, and they're going to land about right in front of you. But here's the thing. If you knock them up and move forward a little bit before they land, they'll land behind you. So what you're going to do, you're going to knock them up, you're going to move forward, they're going to land behind you, and then you're going 180 into a driving strike. So you're going to pull them forward, and then you're going to push them even further back. That's what I'm talking about. That is some ridiculous peel. You're going to be able to displace people by huge, huge amounts, get them so far away from their allies that they're not going to be able to get any help. That's what I'm talking about. You're going to use Earthbreaker to drive and strike. Keep that in mind. Earthbreaker to drive and strike. And I'm going to show you how to do that just a little bit. It is a little tricky, especially because Earthbreaker is not the easiest ability to land. Now let's take a look at its number 3, which is Mitigate Wounds. What Mitigate Wounds is going to do, it's going to heal you once per second for 4 seconds, starting at 15, maxing out at 55 each tick. Now here's the thing about this ability though, man. When you use this ability, for those 4 seconds you're healing, any damage you take during that time will be returned over the next 10 seconds. A percentage of it will be returned based on what level this ability is at. Starting at 30% of damage taken will be returned to 90% of all damage taken will be returned over the next 10 seconds. Dang, son! What that means is you're going to activate it before you start taking damage, and then the damage you take while Mitigate Wounds is active is just going to be returned to you, man. They can't keep you down. You can't keep Hercules down. Man, you're going to slam on him with some massive damage. It's cool. He's just going to heal it all back, or heal most of it back anyway. And that's what's going to give Hercules some of the most ridiculous sustain in the game, especially in the late game. Once you get to the mid and late game, this Mitigate Wounds is going to give you such absurd sustain that you're going to be able to tank ridiculous amounts of damage. But keep in mind, it is over time. It's over about 14 seconds, and it's got a 17-second cooldown. So you can't use it really as an emergency. You always have to use it as before you start taking damage to really maximize its effect. Using it as a reaction to taking damage is not going to be as effective, and using it as an emergency is not going to be as effective. So always use it before you start taking damage. It's going to take some time and some effort and a little bit of, tactical thinking to know when to use it. But just make sure you use it before you start taking damage to get its maximum effect. Now let's take a look at his ability 4. It's Excavate. All right, here's the deal, man. So you got Ra's got his big old beam, right? For his ultimate. You got Yanis. Yanis got this big, huge portal. You got Artemis has this trained boar that she's trained. Man, Hercules don't need none of that mess. He don't need none of this special equipment. He doesn't need none of this fancy magic. He just rips a big-ass boulder out of the ground and tosses it right at your face. That's what I'm talking about, man. This dude's so strong, he's just going to pull a piece of earth out, and he's just going to throw a huge boulder at your face. Here's the deal. What it's going to do, he's going to throw a boulder at your ground target location, all the way out to max range. Once it hits the ground target location, it's going to continue rolling. Now, here's the deal. If you throw it at max range, it will keep rolling past that max range. So you can use it to really put a hurt on people that are trying to escape. You might be able to get some last hits with it. Or you can throw it right in front of you and throw it into a team fight. Now, it can bounce around among walls. It can hit people multiple times for diminishing returns on damage. So make sure you try and use it to bounce off of walls and keep rocking back and forth into that team fight. It takes a little bit of practice to get that down, but that's basically what you're going to use it for. And look at that damage. 300, starting at 300 plus 100% physical power, all the way up to 800. Now that is some massive damage. It's on a long cooldown, and it ain't cheap. But keep in mind that you can use this in order to really throw some hurt into a team fight. All right, now let's take a look at how I build Hercules. Okay. Hercules is a little bit more complicated to build than Tyr, so I've put a bunch of options up here. And we're going to go over them and what they're going to be useful for. But let's start with what you're pretty much going to get every time, which is Warrior Tabby. You got the physical power, you got the movement speed, kind of the same deal for Tyr. You need that movement speed as quick as you can because you're going to be based off of displacement and being in the right position. And to get in the right position, you got to be able to move. You got to be able to move fast. So that's what we're going to get first is Warrior Tabby. Second, Jotun's Wrath. You got the power, you got the mana, you got the penetration, you got the cooldown reduction. This thing has got it all. It's seen a little bit of a nerf from Season 2. It's gone from 25% down to 20% cooldown reduction, and it lost 1 physical penetration. So it has seen a slight nerf, but it's still an amazing, amazing item. And it's totally what we're going to get because Hercules is definitely an ability-based hero, and he's going to want that extra mana. Speaking of cooldown reduction and extra mana, the next thing we're going to get is Breastplate of Valor. Now, the reason we're going to get this is because it's going to give us some massive physical protection, a bunch of mana, and it's going to finish off our cooldown percentage. It's going to max it at 40%. That's why we're going to get this. We want it to be maxed as soon as we can. As an ability-based hero, getting that extra mana early from Jotuns and Breastplate, having the physical protection, and maxing our cooldown reduction very quickly is going to enable us to always be ready for anything that comes up. So that's why we're going to max our cooldown reduction first. After that, I would recommend going for Shifter's Shield. Now, it may change based on what you need at any given time, but for 4th, I would go Shifter Shield. Why? Because it can be used in just about any circumstance. It is useful. It's got just statically good physical power and good protections just on its own. When you're over 50% health, you get an additional 20 physical power. When you're under 50% health, you gain an additional 20 protections. That's just awesome, man. You know what I'm saying? It's got it all. It's ready for anything. Using Shifter Shield is going to give you some much needed power, and it's going to keep you alive. Shifter Shield is a great item and something you should seriously consider getting. Now, let's look at our 5th item, which is Runic Shield. See, a lot of people might consider Void Shield because it reduces physical power and physical protections. But here's the deal, man. Runic Shield is going to give you magical protection. It's going to give you physical power. It's going to nerf mages by reducing magical power. And it's going to nerf auto attackers by reducing attack speed. So it's going to nerf everyone on the enemy team. It's going to nerf mages, and it's going to nerf their auto attackers. So Runic Shield is a good all-around option for power, protection, and enemy debuffs. That's why we're going to go Runic Shield number 5. The last thing we're going to get is a little bit of a toss-up. I have Genji's Guard on here right now because that's what I usually end up getting, but it's going to be a little bit different. If they are mage heavy, you're going to get Genji's Guard. Genji's Guard is going to give you some of that magical protection, some nice crowd control reduction, some mana regen, and it's going to give you a buff every 30 seconds. When you get hit by magical damage, you'll get 150% bonus HP 5 and 20% bonus movement speed for 5 seconds. That's what I'm talking about, man. You get hit by magic power, now you're moving faster, you're regenerating faster, you can get into the thick of things. You almost want to take some magic damage. That's what I'm talking about, man. Genji's Guard is very useful against mages. However, it's completely worthless against auto attackers. So if they're auto attacker heavy, if they're physical heavy, you're going to get Hide the Nemean Lion. It's going to give you some massive physical protection, a buttload of extra mana, and it's going to reflect auto attack damage back at the attacker as magical damage. It's going to reflect 20%. That makes Hide the Nemean Lion ridiculously useful against auto attackers. Anyone that comes up and auto attacks you, they're only going to do 80% normal damage, and the rest of it's just going to get dealt right back to them. And you're going to get 90 physical protection on top of it. So not only do you get hardier, you're also going to take 20% less auto attack damage and reflect it back at the attacker. It is excellent for physical or auto attack based characters. But you need to choose. Only choose one or the other. It's not generally a good idea to build both because they're both kind of expensive and they do totally different things. But I tell you what, if you have a balanced team, if you've got a pretty balanced team you're going up against, you might get Genji's Guard instead of Runic Shield and then get Hide of the Nemean Lion as your 6th item. That's going to give you some balance. Now that's on a case-by-case basis, and so really think about what you're going up against before you commit. Now if you need more damage, if you've already got the tank in, your team needs more damage, you might go Runeforged Hammer. This item got changed around in Season 3, so now it's going to cause your physical abilities to deal more damage based on your physical power. So with your physical power, you might go Runeforged Hammer. That's going to give you a little bit more damage. Now, I haven't tested it extensively with the new ability, but I've seen it do some nice additional damage when you really need it. So if you're going for damage, Runeforged Hammer isn't a bad choice. You got physical power, you got the health, and you're going to do more damage with your abilities. All right. As far as relics go, which are the new actives, we're going to pick up 2 of these 4 things. I generally recommend Purification if they've got any serious CCs on their team. Unlike Tier, you don't have any passives that can help you get out of... You don't have a passive that can help you reduce crowd control, and you don't have a reliable escape. You've got a dash in your driving strike, but it's easy to stop, and it ain't going to go through walls. So you don't really have that great of an escape with Hercules. Purification is going to allow you to get out of them CCs and get out of the line of danger when things get really heated and you can't stick around. However, as far as what we're going to do for our second item, or if they're not CC heavy, you can get Frenzy. Frenzy is going to remove the disarm status from all allied gods and yourself in a 70-foot radius, and it's going to give you all plus 20% power for 10 seconds. So you're going to use Frenzy to get a really, really sweet buff for your team, get a really sweet offensive buff. Now, Curse is going to slow down the enemy, and it's going to reduce their healing. So you're going to get Curse if you want to debuff the enemy. Instead of buffing your allies with Frenzy, you debuff the enemy with Curse. Now the last thing we're going to look at is Shell. Shell is going to give a 45 magical and physical protection for 5 seconds. And it's going to give a flat 15% DR. That's pretty nice. So you're going to pick up Shell. If your team needs a little bit more of a defensive edge, you can pick up Shell, and that's going to give your team a little bit more staying power in the highly damaging team fights. For consumables, we're going to go with the standard array: Healing Potion, Mana Potion, Ward, and Elixir of Power. Now, this is a little bit more interchangeable than Tier. You might need to go Elixir of Defense if you're fulfilling a tank role. If you're fulfilling a damage role, you're going to go Elixir of Power. Keep in mind what you're building towards and what your team really needs at the moment. If they need more damage, go Elixir of Power. If they need more defense, go Elixir of Defense, obviously. So keep that in mind. Now let's take a look at his leveling order. So what we're going to max first is Driving Strike. Why? Because it does the most damage with the highest physical scaling, and leveling it is going to increase the stun duration. So we're going to level that first. It's our main damage source, and it's got nice CC improvement over the long run. So we're going to max Driving Strike first. What we're going to do with our second one, you're going to get Earthbreaker. See, because we want to get that combo, the Earthbreaker to Driving Strike combo, as soon as we can. So we're going to get that second. But we are not going to level Earthbreaker again until level 15. We're going to level it last. We don't really use it for the damage, and leveling it doesn't really increase its damage that significantly, and it doesn't increase its displacement or CC ability in any way. So since we're not using it for damage and just the CC, we're going to level it last. Now for level 3, you're going to get Mitigate Wounds. And that is what we are going to start leveling up second. After you finish off Driving Strike, you're going to get Mitigate Wounds. It's going to increase the healing per tick, and it's going to increase the damage returned as healing. So we're going to want to get that real quick after we get our Driving Strike rolling. You should have it maxed by level 14. So once you enter the mid-game, your Mitigate Wounds is already maxed, and you're returning 90% of damage returned as healing during the 4 seconds while it's active. And as far as Excavate goes, you're going to take it at every opportunity. Whenever you get the chance, you're going to take Excavate. And that's because it is our biggest, just burst in your face damage. You're going to want to max it as soon as you can, just so you can make sure that you are doing as much damage as possible when the opportunity arises. All right. Now we've gone through this, let's take a look at what Hercules can do in combat. And I'm going to give you a combat tutorial. All right, now let's take a look at what Hercules can do in combat. First of all, what we're going to get, let's see, what are we up against? Guan Yu, Ymir, Neith, Ra, and Thor. So they got a little bit of CC here where you might want to get out of it, and these early relics aren't going to be terribly useful in the early game. We're going to go ahead and get Purification. just in case we get CC'd. Let's head out into lane and see what we can do. Now what I do, I changed my casting animation to quick cast so I can show you where Earthbreaker is. You see that white spot at the end That is where the knock-up range is. Everywhere else will not knock up. You have to get in that white square, and that can be very tricky to land. So what we're going to do, we're going to see this Thor. We're going to knock him up. Well, we're not because he got stunned out of it. Dang it. Oh, well. And our Callie is getting kind of butt wasted. But we are going to come behind him. We are going to push him into the tower with our driving strike. We're going to go ahead and get that first blood. That's what I'm talking about. Looking for opportunities. Use it kind of like tears. You can use it as a good push and as a stun. So our driving strike is almost back. We've got an Earthbreaker. We got an Earthbreaker right here. We're going to pop Rob. We're going to throw him in. We're going to get the tap. We're going to get the kill. That's how you're going to use that combo. Earthbreaker to driving strike. Use it whenever you can to make sure that you can get as much displacement as possible. And since all our allies were dead, and Hercules has very little wave clear outside of his driving strike, which we're trying to save, I'm not very good at taking out these creeps. So it's a good thing my allies came to help me. Now we're going to head back because we're out of mana. As you can see, Hercules, pretty mana thirsty dude. So let's head back into lane. And we're going to try that combo again. I'm going to try and show you how we do this. Now you just saw Thor doing the spinny move. Remember, your knockback will push him out of that spinny move because it's a stun. Just because he's in stun mode, don't think you can't hit him. Kind of like that. That's what I'm talking about. Earthbreaker to driving strike. That's what we're going to use every time. Keep that combo rolling. We got our Earthbreaker back. We got our driving strike back. We got a Raw that's looking tasty. We got a Guan Yu that's looking pretty tasty. He's going to get pushed in. He is going to not die. Are you serious? Okay, thank you. See, what happened is I pushed the minions in ahead of him, so the tower targeted the minions instead of him. That can be very difficult to avoid, and you're just going to have, that's just going to take some practice. Now, there's a Raw here, who I'm going to hit, and I'm going to push, and I'm going to kill. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's how I'm going to use it. But look at that, man. I'm already out of mana. I'm going to have to go back already. See, that's the big problem with Hercules early on. You're going to have to be really careful about your mana consumption and make sure that when you use your abilities, you land them. Missing an ability is going to drain your mana real quick, and it's going to take you out of the fight faster. So be very cognizant of of how much mana you got and how much mana you're spending. Now we're going to head back here. Let's move on to the other lane. That lane looks like it's pretty handled. We got a Ymir right here. All right, Ymir's heading back. Let's see what we can do. That Ymir thinks he's pretty safe heading up into them towers right there. Oh, Callie died. How unfortunate. Ymir they think they're safe. They think they're safe, but they're not safe! I pull him out, I push him back, I'm going to deal some damage, and then I'm going to throw my ult and get Neath. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's how you're going to use that. You can pull people out of the safety of their towers with this ability and really CC them for a long time. So make sure you use that to the best of your ability. Use that displacement to your advantage. Look for opportunities where you can really CC the living crap out of somebody. These guys are doing something. And I'm going to push them all into this wall. I'm going to deal some damage. Oh, where you going, Raw? That's what I'm talking about. Going to pull him back. Going to deal some damage. Thor is being retarded. Thor went down like a little bitch. That's fine. All right, let's head back to base. Gear up on our mana. And Artemis went down to Ymir. What a surprise. All right, now let's see here. Oh, looks like our Sobek's in trouble. See if we can't go help him out a little bit. Looks like that Neath Neith is trying to get in. Oh, she's trying to run away. She's trying to run away, but she's not going to get away because I'm going to push her. I'm going to knock her back. I'm going to throw a big barrel in her face, and I'm going to get the kill. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I think maybe a minion shot her. See, that's how you're going to do that. That's another powerful combo you can use, is you can use your Earthbreaker to a driving strike, and then when they're stunned, you can throw a boulder in their face. And that's how you're going to try and use that. Okay, it looks like these guys are... Oh, no, Anubis! Anubis, no! Anubis! Ow. I'm going to activate my mitigate wounds so I can just tank some of this damage real quick. I'm going to pull Ra into me. I'm going to push him back. I'm going to get the kill. See, look at that. And my mitigate wounds is doing some work. It's keeping me up. All right, now let's see if I can get this Guan Yu. This Guan Yu's being pretty stupid, so I'm going to knock him up. I'm going to push him in. I'm going to get the kill. That's how we're going to do it. Always look for opportunities to grab and pull into your tower. All right, now we got our maximum cooldown reduction going. So that's what I'm talking about. Now we got our sweet-ass cooldown. We can really start hammering with these abilities because we've also got the extra mana to work with. Now let's see, we got a Thor up here. Let's try and pick somebody with a little bit more. Looks like they got that handled. Looks like they might have this. No, look, Artemis is retreating. Oh, Ymir. I'm not going to be able to catch him. Let's see. Oh, look at this. I'm going to come in from the side and pull that Ra out of the protection of his tower. Or, well, apparently he's just going to pull himself out of the protection of the tower. That's fine. Activate mitigate wounds so I can start taking this damage. I'm going to pull Ra up. I'm not going to pull Ra up. But I am going to push him in. I'm going to throw a boulder in his face, get the kill. That's what I'm talking about. See, what happens is once you use your driving strike, they're stunned, and they have no way to deal with your boulder that's going to come crashing into their face. So you're going to use that to your advantage. Oh, he rushed through, but it wasn't enough. See, as you can see, you got to really time that Earthbreaker. Make sure you time it well. It's a lot easier to miss than you think and takes a lot of practice, especially against live players. Live players are going to be well aware of the fact that you can pull them, and they might try to keep their distance. So don't use it unless you are pretty sure you're going to get the hit. Look at that Thor. That Thor's taking some damage. That Ra's taking... That Ra's... activate mitigate wounds. And we're going to push through and we're going to get that kill. That's what I'm talking about right there. And Thor's being an idiot. He's just going to take a boulder to the face. Activate mitigate wounds so I can start taking this damage. And we're going to pull Guan Yu back. We're going to push him forward. We're going to deal some damage. We're going to get that kill. That's what I'm talking about. All while outside the protection of his tower. And look at that. With my mitigate wounds, I'm back to full, man. You can't keep me down. With my mitigate wounds, I'm able to stick in here for a long time. Always activate your mitigate wounds before you start taking damage, and you will be amazed how much sustain you can really pull off in the long run. Okay, these... Oh, activate mitigate wounds. All right, I'm just going to take this damage. Oh, didn't quite get him. I'm going to nail him into that tower, get a stun. We're going to get the kill. All right, and look at that. My mitigate wounds keeping me alive. We're going to pull Guan Yu back. We're going to dash him in. We're going to deal some damage. And we are... You know what? Fuck it. We're going to get the kill. That's what I'm talking about. And we're going to just whack on this Phoenix a little bit. And there we go. All right, now we're out of mana now. We've taken out the right lane. We're going to go ahead and head back. We got Shifter Shield now. We're working on the Runic Shield. And we got a new item we can get. Let's go with Curse. Let's keep him from getting away from us. Looks like our allies are in some serious trouble, man. I don't know what the hell they think they're doing. But check this out. I'm going to show you the power of mitigate wounds. Activate mitigate wounds. I'm going to start. Look at all this damage I'm taking. Look at all this damage I'm taking. Oh, but it's just not enough. It's just not enough. They just cannot deal enough damage to me. I'm healing it all back. Look at that, man. Look at that. I'm back to full practically. Activate mitigate wounds again. I'm going to go in. I'm going to dash him back. I'm going to get that kill. And look at all this. Look at what I'm healing right here, man. Oh, man. See, look at that. With mitigate wounds, you can tank tons of damage. Now, you have to be careful. Again, you cannot use it as an emergency. You have to be able to use it before you start taking damage to maximize how much you're going to get back. But as you can see, it can give you some serious staying power. I just tanked 3 dudes, man. And yeah, they're pretty far under leveled than me. But I still tanked a bunch of dudes and they barely did nothing to me, man. All right, now here's that Neath. That Neath is going to get knocked up. She's going to get pushed in before she can use her dash to get out. And I'm going to throw a boulder in her face to get the kill. Didn't see it coming. Got wasted. We're going to go ahead and take out this Phoenix. Activate mitigate wounds. It was a little late. We're going to push Ymir back out of this tower. I don't think so. I just don't think so. Where the hell do you think you're going? You're going to get pushed back in. And I'm going to stun you again. And I'm going to get the kill. That's how we're going to do that right there. All right, now we've got this pretty far down. Let's just go ahead and take out this Titan. As you can see, you're going to try and use that displacement to the best of your ability. You're going to do as much damage as you can. All right, now let's see here. Oh, I'm going to activate mitigate wounds because I'm taking some serious damage right now. I'm going to push Neath into this tower. I'm going to take some damage. But it's okay. With my mitigate wounds, I'm keeping in the fight. I'm still in the fight here. Oh, activate mitigate wounds again. Oh, Jesus. It just keeps targeting me. But it's okay. Look at that. I'm just going to activate mitigate wounds again. And there's just nothing they can do. Let's get Ymir out of there. I don't like you being here. Activate mitigate wounds. Now, you can't just straight tank the Titan like that. But look at this. Activate mitigate wounds. I'm healing some of that damage back. We're going pretty good. Now, I'm going to keep hitting on this Titan. Activate mitigate wounds before I start taking damage from the Titan. And look at this. I'm back to full, man. They just can't keep me down. And that's how we're going to do this. Make sure you use your mitigate wounds very effectively. See, look at that. See how long I stuck around? Did you see how many times I got hit by that Titan? And I'm still at full, man, or really close. That's how you're going to use that. You're going to use your mitigate wounds tactically before you start taking damage to make sure that you can stick around as long as possible. And that, my friends, is the basic idea of how to play Hercules. Hope you have fun. Hope you liked it. If you find it useful, leave a message or a comment. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. And thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one now here.